Yo guys, it's Andrew. This is now the fourth continuing part to my semi-new player impressions on Guild Wars 2. If you want to see the previous parts of my impressions on the game, there will be a link in the description below, but if you are here after watching the first part, or any of the previous parts, or are just interested in watching this part, welcome. Of course, this is a series for the people who are deciding whether or not this game may be worth a try since it is free to play, or even for the longtime Guild Wars 2 veterans and longtime fans who are interested in hearing the rambling of an MMO addict like myself, getting into their favorite MMORPG they know and love so much. There will be chapters set up with this video, or timestamps in the description below if you're interested in hearing about the certain parts of the game, be it the story and lore, or the gameplay of Guild Wars 2. Unfortunately, this time around there will not be an exploration segment as I was trying to clear out my part 2 of the adventure guide, and I did not know that I had a good portion of the part 3 already completed. So the moment I finished part 2, I got tons of experience from the part 3 adventure guide, which leveled me up from level 40 all the way to level 47. So just to keep things in level order, I did decide to forego an exploration segment in this video as I was over leveled way too much, and if I still did exploration, I would have already been through a majority of the level 50s. But I will for sure have an exploration segment in the next video for sure. And just to let everyone know about the adventure guide, I will cover actually what the adventure guide is for any of the new players or returning players that don't actually know what the adventure guide is. Be sure to leave a like and comment down below your thoughts and subscribe, and hit the bell icon to see future Guild Wars 2 or general MMORPG content and get notifications from my channel. Now, finally, we are getting into the start of the overarching story of Guild Wars 2. That overarching story being the threat of the Elder Dragons and our part in the story with dealing with them. First, we head off to Lion's Reach where Air and her friends, previously known as the Adventurers Guild, Destiny's Edge, are meeting once again after a long time. But it is very clear that they are at odds with each other and are not pleased to see each other again. Kaith, the Sylvari of the group, tries to welcome everyone back and speak of the threat of the Elder Dragons. It is clear that she seems like she is the middle woman, the middle man of this group. But then Logan, the human of the group, tried to speak out against the Char, Ritlock, as the humans and Char are currently at arms with each other. Air tries to speak to them to quiet both sides down, and says that she is not sure if Destiny's Edge can unite again with all these hostilities. And then Zoja, the Asuran of the group, says that she's right, and blames Air for the past mistakes of the group. All of them go on and on against each other. Logan against Ritlock, Zoja against Air. Meanwhile, Kaith is trying to be the middleman, the leader, and speak and say that they must help the other orders of Tyria, and that the Elder Dragons are a dire threat that we must unite against, but nobody will hear her out. After they all leave with their anger against each other, Air stays and says that she may be able to help the situation and possibly even fix this. And Kaith depressingly says that they have failed, and that she doesn't know how they will help Tyria if they cannot unite. After that, I speak to Air, saying that she's a legend and that she needs to believe in herself, or believe in me at least. And Air says that she will find a way to heal these wounds. I say that she will, and we will make sure that the dragons fall, and I will be ready for what is to come. After the unfortunate meeting of the Destiny's Edge members, I was then sent a letter in the mail from my new mentor, War Master Folgo Kernson, of the Vigil, since that was the order I chose as a big, bulky Norn warrior. So I must go meet them at the Vigil headquarters in Lion's Arch, where I will receive my directions for my first mission as a Vigil recruit. And that I must personally meet the General, as she has taken a personal interest in me. After arriving at the Vigil headquarters, I met with the General, named General Almora Soulkeeper, and I introduced myself and reported for duty. I was then given a small cutscene introducing me to the Vigil and the main threat at hand, the Elder Dragons. The Elder Dragons had awoken swarms of undead against the human and Sylvari shores and kingdoms. The Asurans were driven away and fled from their underground cities, and joining all the races of Tyria, the Vigil was born. I was again informed that my mentor would be Forgul, a fellow Norn, and one of the best soldiers in the Vigil Order, and that the Vigil was created to fight the Elder Dragons, to destroy them before they destroy us and Tyria at large. After experiencing that, honestly, pretty badass intro cutscene to the Vigil and the overarching story, I was then handed over to Forgel, my new mentor, and finally given my first orders as a Vigil recruit. General Almora tells me and Forgel that Renegade Char raiders are threatening the treaty negotiations between the Kryden humans and the Iron Legion Char. The Vigil were ensured that the treaty comes to fruition with no issues at all, or very little issues, and taking care of any issues that do happen to arise. And it is important that this treaty succeeds, as Kryden and the Iron Legion must work together. All of Tyrium must work together to fight the dragons. We are then told to contact Commander Samuelson, the leader of the Ebon Vanguard in Ebonhawk, and we will have further orders to deal with the Renegade Char. Once Forgel and I arrived in Ebonhawk, we arrived just in time as the action has begun. Commander Samuelson meets up with us and informs us that Char renegades have smuggled explosives into the city, Ebonhawk. Their goal was to blow up one of the outer walls. While the demolition team was dealt with by the Ebon Vanguard already, the renegade forces are now attacking inside the city, specifically in the central plaza of Ebonhawk. Commander Samuelson says that we need to take the city's central plaza and secure the rallying point to rally the Ebon Vanguard troops. Forgel swears that we will capture the plaza and then we move out, killing swaths of Renegade Char raiders all over the streets of Ebonhawk. We secure the first road, push forward to the city crossing, take over the city crossing, then move forward into the central plaza and take down more waves of renegades where we are able to secure the rally point for the troops. Commander Samuelson thanks Forgel and I for a quick and decisive aid to the fight, and Forgel guesses that with the extreme boldness of their tactics now means that there is now a new leader at the head of the renegades. And the commander tells us that Forgel is right, and that they already know that the leader is named Ajax Anvilburn. The troops' scouts have notified the commander that they have a camp close outside of Ebonhawk, but the Ebon Vanguard hasn't had a chance to find out. Forgel and I offer ourselves to find the camp and to figure out where Ajax is and what his plans are. Forgel and I head outside of Ebonhawk where the suspected camp is. Of course, going in, there is some fun, before going in, there is a little bit of fun mentor to mentee dialogue that I really enjoyed, and we move out to the encampment where the renegades are. Forgel automatically runs into the fray and starts burning down the renegade tents to get all the renegade char out. We start taking them all down as they come out, and we eventually take down what we suspect is one of the higher ranking renegades of the camp. And Forgel interrogates the char, demanding he tells us where Ajax Anvilburn is. We are told by the char that he has set his sights to kill a human named Durin and set an ambush to destroy the Summit Peak and blame it on Steel Crusher. Forgel says that he means Minister Durin of Kryda, and Steel Crusher is the ambassador of the Iron Legion. And the renegade also drops on us, specifically to me, since my character had no idea about this, that Ajax is surprisingly General Almora's son. We press on to make sure that the people of Summit Peak are notified and escort a sergeant that has this information. We make it past waves of char and other ambushes, and we notify the Kryden and Iron Legion ambassadors of what Ajax is planning to do. I'm given a choice at this point, to either choose between Minister Durin's plan, or to set up a defensive position on the peak, and take down all of the chars defensively. Or choose Ambassador Steel Crusher's plan and set up an ambush against Ajax's encampment nearby, to take him down before he can do anything. I decided to go with Minister Durin's plan since it seemed a little bit less risky without many deaths, as the peak would be a very well defensible position to protect everybody. We then set up the defenses in the Summit Peak, I send out our soldiers to specific areas to protect, and we fight against the waves of Renegade Char trying to take down the summit and destroy the possibility of a treaty. We stop all the Char and Ajax arrives finally, and we finally put a stop to him and kill him once for all. Forgel then talks to me, glad that we were able to stop the renegades and make sure that the treaty finally goes through. Forgel, after all of this, does field promote me to Crusader of the Vigil, and we head back to Vigil Keep. There, because of my new position, and also because of my deeds that I did during this questline, I'm filled in about Ajax's relation to the General. How the General found Ajax again long after he was born when her war bandit was slaughtered by a dragon. General Almora tried to convince Ajax that the Vigil and that the dragons were a true threat and that the Vigil would help everybody. but Ajax never understood the threat the dragons posed to the world and why Tyria needed to band together. Lastly, I am assigned to be Forgel's partner, and then I am given a choice to choose between the tribal cultures now that we will seek out and try to aid. I decided to choose the Ogres, as apparently they are an ancient race that we know little about, and that pretty much wraps up the first part of the overarching story of the base game of Guild Wars 2. I was very much enjoyed this first part of the story, and I'm very much looking forward to how it continues, with my choice being to go aid the Ogres. Thought it's very interesting that the Ogres are an ancient race that we don't really know a lot about, and that's what really made me interested in helping them out of all the other choices. Now, continuing on aside from the story, Warrior has still been so much fun to play and continue to progress and learn as. I have, of course, still been very connected to the rifle the most, because the rifle has been so addicting to play and I cannot get my hands off of it. But I have been connecting a lot with the dual axes as well, and also as well as the one-handed sword, and also dual maces. The dual axes have especially felt extremely satisfying as of late for me, because I recently was able to get nearly 100% uptime, as I talked before in my previous videos, with the quickness boon, which has made my leveling so much faster. But with the dual axes, I am able to pretty much upkeep the quickness buff up at all times, which has genuinely felt fantastic while I'm leveling. I also unlocked my second specialization finally, which for players who haven't played before or possibly haven't reached this level yet, or maybe are returning after a while, you get your second specialization at level 45. Though I will admit I have not delved into my second specialization enough yet and looked through my choices thoroughly yet, due to the fact that I said in the beginning of the video that my adventure guide that leveled me up from level 40 to level 47 in one go, so I do have a lot of skill points to sift through. I have already chosen Discipline as my first specialization tree, so I'm trying to see what would feel and do best alongside the Discipline tree, especially considering the weapons I enjoy using a lot. But again, totally aside from that, I have still been absolutely loving Warrior, though I wasn't able to delve too much into the combat in this level bracket due to the long storytelling and also because of my adventure guide. It has still been a great time. And of course, I have been still fighting the urge non-stop to go and try other classes, because I'm for sure going to try the other classes, and I've been very much eyeing classes like Guardian for its hammer and axe and torch, Ranger for a multitude of its weapons, honestly, Thief for its dual pistols looks very fun, and Engineer for its rifle and pistols as well. But I will continue to fight the urge as I continue to progress towards 80 as my Warrior. Lastly, I wanted to make a small segment about the adventure guide because of how much of an effect it had on this level bracket of my leveling. It is absolutely crazy that I was able to level from level 40 to level 47 nearly instantly because of the build up of my adventure guide objectives. From my research, it seems that the further you go into the adventure guide and keep completing the objectives, the more XP you will get from the higher parts. For instance, like I said in the beginning, I was trying to finish my part 2 of the adventure guide. Part 1 objectives give 18% of a level per completion, but part 2 gives a whopping 32% of a level, and part 3 gives a huge 39% of a level, which explains why I blasted through so many levels, because the moment I finished the last couple of my part 2 objectives, a bunch of the part 3 objectives have already finished, maybe about 7 or 8 of them. They auto-completed the moment I completed part 2. I think this is such a handy system for new players because it gives a good sense of direction to interact with the Guild Wars 2 systems. At least try to understand them more by getting players to go and interact with the systems. Now, of course, there is no better way to teach players by just directing them to do something in the gameplay and then reward them for it. I think that's one of the best ways you can teach players how to interact with systems in your MMORPG, let alone learn how to play the game. And it definitely helps for people like me who eventually will want to level multiple characters, or even are returning after a while and want to level a new character. I will absolutely be following the adventure guide so that I can take advantage of all the tons of objectives I can do to get all those large bursts of XP throughout my leveling experience, while just casually adventuring and exploring through the areas I have yet to explore yet. Overall, the adventure guide has been a great addition for new and returning players like me, and I'm not sure exactly when this feature was added, but it is a great feature that I am glad they added. But that pretty much wraps up my impressions on the level 40 to level 50 range. I've still been having a blast so far, and while I did not get to do a ton of exploring or a lot of combat with enemies, the story was awesome, and I'm really excited to see what is setting up in the future. I can absolutely assure you that this MMORPG is worth trying out if you are a new player and are wondering if Guild Wars 2 is worth playing, since it is free to play, and of course, if you wonder if it is worth it from levels 1 to 50. It absolutely is worth it. If you have made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you watching, and I would also appreciate if you left a like and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. I definitely have more Guild Wars 2 content planned going forward, and of course, I will be covering Lord of the Rings Online more as well. Make sure to subscribe, stay tuned for more Guild Wars 2 content and general MMORPG content. Thank you so much again for watching, guys, and as always, have a great day, have a great week, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.